All right. Welcome to episode number 60 of the Let's Discuss Gaming podcast. I am your host, Triple J. Joining me is my co host, Dr. Games101.
What's up, y'all? Got a new haircut, baby.
At least one of us do. Anyway,
all right, my friend.
not a lot of news hitting about in the gaming world that came out over the last couple of weeks. Very little, but we still do have some stories to talk about. So, you ready to start with the first one?
Indeed.
Okay. First story coming up.
It's gonna be a good one.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 hits $1 billion in revenue in 10 days, faster than any past Call of Duty title. The newest Call of Duty continues to set franchise records. Activision Blizzard has announced that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 has surpassed $1 billion in global sell-through revenue over its first 10 days since release on October 28. Modern Warfare 2 made $1 billion faster than any previous Call of Duty game, surpassing the previous record holder, which was 2012's Black Ops 2, $1 billion in 15 days. This follows Activision's previous announcement that Modern Warfare 2 earned $800 million in global sell-through revenue in 3 days. Take-Two's Grand Theft Auto 5 remains the fastest-selling game of all time based on launch revenue, as the game minted $1 billion in revenue in 3 days. Activision also pointed out that Modern Warfare 2 players have collectively logged more than 200 million hours of game time and played more than 1 billion matches. The incredible momentum driving Modern Warfare 2 is a direct reflection of the energy and passion of the Call of Duty community, Call of Duty DM Joanna Ferry said. As we look ahead to an unprecedented level of support for the Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2.0's launch next week, we are motivated to deliver again for the best player community in the world. While Modern Warfare 2 is expected to have a massive year for commercial success, Bandai Namco's Elden Ring will finish 2022 as the best-selling game in the US, according to the NPD. Elden Ring released back in February, though, so it's not a perfect or fair comparison. As Ferry stated, Warzone 2.0 will be released on November 16th, which was 3 days ago, and it's expected to have a big launch. Another new Call of Duty game, Warzone Mobile, is set for release in 2023. Activision Blizzard will announce its latest earning figures today, November 7th, so keep checking back for more on how Call of Duty and the company overall is performing. I know you played Modern Warfare 2, you even made a video on it, so what do you think of this success, basically almost doing what Grand Theft Auto 5 did?
Yeah, the only difference is that GTA 5, they made, $1 billion within not even 5 days, though.
$1 billion in 3.
Okay, I was close, but not...
And 800 million on launch day.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And Modern Warfare 2 is a good game. The story is not that bad. It's like a continuation of the reboot of the first Modern Warfare. I played the first level, at least, and recording that is edited this time. Not bad. Good graphics. It feels like you're playing for the SAS or the CIA, those type of agencies within our respected countries and all. And yeah, it looks like another World War III is going to break out sooner or later from these group of people in that particular franchise, of the reboot franchise, you would call it. So yeah, I give it a good rating. At least a good 3.5 out of 5 stars in my perspective. So that's what I think of it.
Yeah, it's funny. Before the release, we were scared of how we were worried about the no Russian mission not being included, thinking they were going to wimp out and try to avoid conspiracy. And then we heard a couple of weeks ago how people were upset with other missions.
Yeah, because if I can mention this one mission, you're in this Amsterdam area, which I always want to go there one day myself, and it looks like a good depiction of the country as well. And you have to assassinate a few people in front of the public's eye, but the only difference is that it has to be on low key, no weapons, draw out the weapons until after the rules of engagement, pretty much. And it's like that with the first Modern Warfare 2019. So it's kind of like that. You stab a person in the stomach, you lay down, oh, take a break, bro. You'll be fine. Like the way he said it. I'm starting to laugh about it, man. It's just like a lighthearted thing to do for that moment. It's heavy-hearted, but also lighthearted, because they try to make sure you diffuse yourself from the situation to the best of your ability and move on. Because I was confused sometimes on what to do exactly because of people around me in that game, that is the level. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, congratulations. Call of Duty. I'm surprised it did this well. Like
Yes.
they said, they haven't had success like this since Black Ops 2. Um,
Yeah, that's crazy. That was like 10 years ago this year.
yeah, 2012.
And I heard that, speaking of Call of Duty games, I heard that Black Ops 2 was considered to be the last best Call of Duty for the franchise altogether. And after this Ghosts, it went downhill to what people are saying on the internet, whether they're young as, 15-year-old or even as old as 25, 30 years old. They're saying the similar fashion of, oh, this game is like Infinite Warfare, Black Ops 3, they're all the same. Advanced Warfare, those three games are all the same. To me, Infinite Warfare is a little different because it involves, space warfare, some degree, that's like a little distinct from Halo altogether.
Well, I think they also had that in Ghost too, Space Warfare.
Really? Maybe in the multiplayer, most likely, right? No?
I don't know. I didn't. But the thing is, the problem with Ghost is, I hate to say this, they kind of listen to the fans. Fans were like, we don't want long campaigns. We want a shorter campaign so we can jump right into multiplayer. So it's like, okay, here's a 4-hour campaign. And then people weren't happy with Ghost, so...
And I thought that Ghost was supposed to be involved with, the sequel to Modern Warfare 3 in some cases. So
I think it was. That's the feeling I was getting. It wasn't Black Ops like in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought Ghost was supposed to be something like current day.
Unfortunately, I only played most of the multiplayer before everything got like excavated. Because most of the players now, it must be no more than 10 players still playing that game as of last year, because of Modern Warfare 2019, because of Halo Infinite. All these big games are coming out over the last 3 to 5 years of the time period, and the multiplayer playlist of the Ghost game was the dwindling down numbers, so I didn't get just to play much of the campaign until after this happens. And I only played the first 5, maybe 10 minutes of it because
Me too.
Because I was busy doing other things at the time. The last time I checked, I was doing a lot of homework, whatever, back in 2020. So I totally forgot about the game altogether. And I have, but I might do a gameplay of it sometime this upcoming Thanksgiving or Christmas. Depends on how I see it. So.
Yeah, I got Call of Duty Ghost for 360 behind me. But yeah, I only played the first 5-10 minutes of the campaign. It's one of the hundreds of games that I always plan to go back to and never did.
Yeah.
But the multiplayer, they kind of shut them down after a year or two. So I'm be surprised if even one person is still playing multiplayer in Ghost.
Oh yeah. But I'm sure as long as the 360 is still running online live, it should be able to play online.
Yeah, even if it's people playing it through Xbox One, but I'm just saying the game servers probably were shut down.
Oh yeah.
Because unlike Gears of War, which keeps their servers up, you can play the original Gears of War 2006 multiplayer in 2015. Mm-hmm. It's not like that with Call of Duty, so.
Right.
Yeah, but anyway, it seems all the people that were offended by this Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 didn't hurt its sales figures. As a matter of fact, I think that probably helped more than anything.
Oh yeah.
Because people were like, "Hey, they didn't wimp out here." So.
Mm-hmm.
Ready to move on, or?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Just let me check OBS for comments. Okay. Next. This is going to be a big article. Everything shown during Nintendo November 22 Indie World Showcase. Nintendo latest Indie World Showcase has come and gone. Sure, Hollow Knight Silksong didn't appear for the upteenth time in a row, but that doesn't mean there weren't other titles worth putting on your radar. If you missed the festivities, this recap summarizes some of the bigger, newly revealed games heading to Switch before wrapping up with a quick recap of smaller game updates. First game, Once Upon a Jester. Launching later today, this humorous-looking tale stars two best friends plotting to steal a royal diamond. The only way to do that, join an improv theater troupe. Players travel across the kingdom on a quest to outperform other acts by performing improvised musical theater where no two shows are alike. What can go wrong? Depending on your choices, a whole lot, but at least it'll probably be funny. Sports Story. After years of waiting, the follow-up to Golf Story is finally coming to Switch sometime next month. Unlike its predecessor, this role-playing adventure now features multiple sports, including fishing, soccer, and tennis. But if you played Golf Story, you know the game is more than an athletic showcase. Make friends, battle enemies, travel the globe in search of knowledge, and even engage in espionage in this wacky, genre-bending epic. Aka. Play as a red panda in this cozy open-world simulator inspired by 90s animated films. As the retired warrior Aka, you'll farm, craft, and relax on Island Paradise in order to achieve inner peace. Side quests rope in more purpose-driven players, such as helping villagers and freeing the ghost of your past. Honestly, sounds boring to me. A Space for the Unbound. Set in rural Indonesia during the 90s, this slice-of-life adventure centers on a relationship between two high school sweethearts. Oh, and one of them has the power to read minds. When their small town is threatened by supernatural occurrences, it's up to the pair of them to get to the bottom of it, while also learning more about each other. Ani, Road to be the Mightiest Ani. Simultaneously control a vengeful demon warrior and his spirit companion on a quest to reclaim your pride. This single-player game tasks you with slaying enemies as the warrior, then absorbing their souls as the spirit. An open world hosts a variety of powerful supernatural enemies, some so powerful that fleeing instead of fighting actually benefits your stats. So a game that's all about running away? Goodbye World. Goodbye World story spotlights the struggles of indie game development while featuring two styles of play. Part narrative adventure. You'll experience the story of two young game designers struggling to make ends meet. The other half is a Game Boy-inspired puzzle platformer played by one of the protagonists. You can find out how these disparate styles come together when Goodbye World comes to Switch and PC next spring. Pepper Grinder. This action platformer stars a shipwrecked treasure hunter wielding a gigantic drill. You drill through walls and the earth itself to recover lost treasure. Oh god. You can upgrade the drill with new abilities used to access more areas, and the grinding through levels and enemies looks like a blast. Okay, I got something to say about that, to be honest. Botany Manor. In this first-person game, you play a retired 19th century botanist solving plant puzzles in and around a grand mansion. Doing so involves finding the best spots to grow certain plants while learning about yourself by uncovering clues and inspecting objects. Quick hits. Here's a quick list of games that had smaller appearances. Some are existing indies making their way to Switch, while others received release windows for the first time. A Little to the Left. This cozy puzzle features over 70 organization puzzles, all about tying up space with visual and logic puzzles. It's out now on PC, and it comes to Switch later today. Blank. A fawn and a fox join forces in this black and white co-op adventure on February 14th. Coffee Talk, Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly. Brew another cup in this visual novel sequel sometime next spring. Curse of the Sea Rats. The hand-drawn action Ratoidvania plungers Switch in early 2023. Desta, The Memories Between. This emotionally charged turn-based dodgeball adventure by the maker of Monument Valley heads to Switch early next year after releasing for mobile devices via Netflix earlier this year. Dordog. This French watercolor-painted time-traveling journey of grief and reflection lands next spring. Have a Nice Death. The Grim Reaper action roguelike, currently playable on Steam Early Access, is coming to Switch on March 22nd. Inscription. One of 2021's most acclaimed and mysterious titles, finally deals a new hand on Switch on December 1st. Rogue Legacy 2. The roguelike sequel is coming to Switch later today and includes the Fable Heroes update. Storyteller. Mix and match characters and props to build your own fairy tales in this unique puzzle game on March 23rd. Venba. A strikingly colorful narrative cooking game about an Indian family's immigration to Canada serves up an emotional story in spring 2023. Wobble Dogs Console Edition. This bizarre 3D pet simulator arrived in March and will bring its physics-based sandbox to Switch next year. World of Horror. Currently in PC Early Access, this turn-based roguelite draws influence from the works of Junji Ito and H.P. Lovecraft. It heads to Switch next summer. WrestleQuest. Oh yeah, this pro wrestling and JRPG-inspired adventure steps into the ring sometime next May. Do you have anything to say about any of these games?
They don't really stand out exactly to my liking as far as like by name is concerned, because it's not the well mentions like the Marios, the Zeldas, the Warriors, the Waluigis, you name it. Like there's nothing like standing out like that kind of matter. But although I do like to look at that dodgeball game you mentioned earlier, that looks something interesting to play at first. Personally, myself, like I said, I don't have a Nintendo Switch yet. As always, one day I will get the Nintendo Switch. One day I will, and I definitely will do my best to play a lot of it. Especially on the console version, the original version, because you can hook it onto the console as a console, of course, and then that's it. I play the game. But,
WrestleQuest, I'm interested to learn about more. Because it's a wrestling / role-playing game.
Mm-hmm.
And then Coffee, that Coffee Talk, I think it's called.
Coffee Talk, yes. I remember playing that now. Now I remember. It's been so many months I haven't played it. I did either 2 videos or at least 1 video on it back on the BitChute years, back in like 2020, 2021.
Yeah, I've beaten the whole game since then, or at least the first adventure. Honestly, though, if it just seems like so much reading, it takes away from the actual game. I wanted to make coffee and make mistakes, and it just seemed like making coffee was like a little part of the game. It was more just reading a novel.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's like a book. One of those guys mentioned in the past. Make sure a video and a book at the same time you're reading their history and their culture in this unknown universe / world of animals and breeds and species and stuff. So, pretty cool. And that Frida woman, she kind of reminds me of like the tomboy lesbian like version of Catherine with the C from Catherine the Game. That type of personality.
Which Catherine? The one with the C or the one with the K?
C, of course, I said. Of course, okay. The C with the Catherine. What the K don't like the K1. The C one with that all white with the red ribbon and all. I think I saw one of my my job coach's assistants wear something like that one time back in 2016 and all. It was very popular to see like more of those all white outfits on with some of those females I've met recently. Well, back in the past, that is, back in 2016, whatever. My neighbor did the same thing as well too. One time, she was dressed in all white too. So, guys, I like a woman in white. I definitely do. So it's you keep that in mind. To keep wearing white, ladies.
And then there was another one that was a game about drilling or something. Last night, as one of the Xbox Game Pass quests, I played Deep Rock. Deep Rock Galactic.
I haven't got a chance to play that game. I downloaded the update the other day, but I haven't got a chance to play it if it's of its full gameplay yet. I haven't never played it yet, so. I
did play it late at night after streaming Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Okay.
But I just didn't find it interesting.
Really?
You can mine gold and drill through dirt and stuff, and after 5 minutes I was like, I had enough. So,
is that unappealing after a while, huh?
It doesn't take long to be unappealing. Right. And just one of the games that they were talking about made me think of playing Deep Rock Galactic last night. So so I mean, there's a couple games, most of them, but yeah, this announcement did feel underwhelming to me.
Right.
Maybe if you have a Switch and maybe indie games won't be $70 a pop. Maybe these are interesting to you, but the only ones I'd be interested in, just they didn't have much info on.
Right.
Ready to move on, or something else to say?
With Deep Rock Galactic, it is not much of a story mode, I'm assuming, right?
I didn't get that far. You're just a guy underground mining.
I see.
And like you can dig through dirt, and you're supposed to mine some gold, and apparently that's supposed to be the
Yeah.
extent of the game.
Okay. No problem. Understand.
Uh,
Ready to move on.
all right. So let me check OBS. Okay. Next. November's PlayStation Plus games include Kingdom Hearts, Ratchet, and Skyrim. The theme for November's PlayStation Plus games is here. Play the entire franchise. This month's helping of PlayStation Plus games is as stuffed as a Thanksgiving turkey. A little seasonal analogy for you there. Anyway, it's looking like a fantastic month for fans of a variety of popular game series. Despite the subscription service recently losing nearly 2 million subscribers after a confusing relaunch and adding an even more confusing PlayStation 5 discount program, the Sony faithful will be eating well when new PlayStation Plus editions like Rainbow Six Siege, Skyrim, and a treasure trove of Kingdom Hearts games make their way to the paid service this month. Here's the full list of what gets added to the PlayStation Plus and Extra Premium on November 15th. Chorus for PS4 and PS5, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Special Edition for PS4 and PS5, The Gardens Between for PS4 and PS5, Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 and 2.5 Remix for PS4, Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue for PS4, Kingdom Hearts 3 for PS4, Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory for PS4, Tom Clancy's The Division 2 for PS4, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint for PS4, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege for PS4 and PS5, Oddworld Soulstorm Balanced Edition for PS4 and PS5, and Dr. Games 101's favorite game, What Remains of Edith Finch for PS4.
That was a favorite, but okay.
If you've been feeling inspired by Florida's new elected Gen Z congressperson and self-confessed Kingdom Hearts fan Representative Maxwell Frost, now is a good time as any to brush up on your Disney Final Fantasy nonsense. Obviously, PlayStation Plus doesn't have all of the Kingdom Hearts games available, but it'll definitely give you a great head start. You'll be battling in empty parking lots in no time. In addition to the legion of Tom Clancy and Kingdom Hearts games, Earth Defense Force, World Brothers, Earth Defense Force Iron Rain, and One Chabara Origin or Oni Chabara Origin are coming to PlayStation Plus this month as well. Also, hope you like the Ratchet & Clank franchise, because subscribers to PlayStation Plus Premium, the third and most expensive tier of the service, which costs $18 a month, are getting a bunch of classics from the series. Here'll be your Ratchet & Clank helpings. Ratchet & Clank 2 Going Commando, Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal, Ratchet & Clank Deadlocked, Ratchet & Clank Future Tools of Destruction. There are literally not enough hours in a single month to play all of these games. Forget holiday feasting. Sony has ensured all your free time's already spoken for. So, this sounds like a lot. So what do you think of these games? Is there any of these franchises that you would be interested in if you had a PlayStation Plus account?
Well, Kingdom Hearts already has a bundle to buy, like Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 and 2 Remix, something of that sort. I wanted to buy the bundle of that for the Xbox and the PS4. Last time I checked, that is. And then for Ratchet and Clank, it would be a nice addition to my library, especially to the PlayStation library, if I ever have a PS5 or PS4 at least. Skyrim already played before for about, I would say at most 5 hours so far, and that was like the Xbox 360 version for an hour and 4 hours for the Xbox One version. Now, I think there's other games supposed to be released too, like Neo 2, actually Neo 2, actually more specific, as well as this space-related type of game where you involves with grabbing your arms and hands in space with like the cables and satellites to connect and stuff. Kind of a puzzle type of game. Something like that I wanted to play as well too. So if it's the correct timing for that matter too. So those games I wanted to play as well. But yeah, it's to a point where it's like, like there's so many games, so little time. Oh yes, yep. We're only in our 30s. We got a lot of time ahead of us. But between like might have a family, might have to go to your doctor's appointments and do all the business work and stuff like that with Apex and all, and do a little gimmicks here and there, little skits. It's just a blessing to be a part of this time period right now in gaming, because 25, 30 years ago, when I was young as like 8 years old, I was like stuck with like the Super Mario All Stars, Mortal Kombat 2, a little bit of Mortal Kombat 3, Ultimate Mortal Kombat definitely, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, Time Crisis later on, then Crash Bandicoot. Like these 6 games, I had to choose between like what to play for the day. And that was I had a limited library. Oh yes, there was Nintendo Power magazines to look at and stuff like that. But that's if I go to like GameStop at the time. Back then called FuncoLands. Back then called EB Games and things that matter. It was such a blessing to see all these games coming out, but I didn't have the money. But now I got the money, but I don't have the time now. It's like it's a trade-off. It's just like the meme says, like the kid in that the meme says, when I grow up, I want to own all the games and play them. And then the father was like, that's nice, son. And he gives him a hug. But you can't have all the games. You can't play all the games in your whole life. Something like that. So, hugging him like, oh.
Well, a little saving grace, regardless whether you're 13 or 43.
Yeah.
If you're interested in these games, keep in mind this coming up this Thursday is Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
It's 5 days away, so I know.
Nice.
So kids get off Thanksgiving break probably Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I know people usually get off unless they work retail for the same amount of time.
We online still gotta study for the week though. Online students where I'm attending at. We still gotta do our assignments even during Thanksgiving. That's if you want.
Okay, well when I was growing up, I never studied, so that was
understood.
Probably one reason I didn't do as good in school as I probably could have. But anyway, while it's obviously not enough, and I wouldn't recommend it. If you're young, get some Monster, get some energy drink, and just play these games. Kingdom Hearts 1.5, I think, is a good. I played it for PS3. I think it's good if you don't have every individual Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
And 2.5, and then they got 2.8 that you can play,
Remix
and then they got
version, by the way.
and then they got the Ratchet and Clank games that you can play. So I mean, again, would I advise it? If you're young, it's not really going to bother you. It's pulling it all night is not as easy when you're in your 30s as you were when you were in your early 20s. But hey, if you can handle it, you got a few days off coming up. That's the saving grace at least.
But if you do stay up late in your 30s, time will pass by quickly, a lot quickly than when you were 13 doing all-nighter. Because when you do an all-nighter when you're like 13, 14 years old, the latest I could stay up was like 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning at best. So, and I think when I played, like I said, I think I said this to the previous podcast, that when I first played San Andreas, the GTA San Andreas, right, for December 2014, give or take, so it was 2 months after the release. I played from when I come home like around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They stopped playing until like about 11, 12 a.m. I was playing it straight, so no breaks.
Wow.
Maybe one bathroom break here and there, but that's about it. I was into that game. That's how good the game was, San Andreas. That was the best GTA game in my perspective. So that's veering off topic a bit. So
really, you think that's the best GTA game? Well, I mean, you only had 3 and Vice City to compare it to.
Because like the YouTuber said, Grand Theft Auto 3 was the introduction. Vice City amped it up a bit, and San Andreas finished it with a good lesson. That's what, in paraphrase, that is. Because San Andreas has both story, gameplay, and the volume and density of it is equally measured properly, in my perspective. And when it comes to GTA 5, yes, it has more gameplay, more opportunities to make some more, opportunities to make Michael, Franklin, and Trevor more astound players and such, and also GTA Online and stuff. But it's volumetric. Like it's out there, it's vast, it's open, the world. But not really density because you have to find stuff. You got to find things to do. It's not all out there for you to explore in a proper setting like that of San Andreas. Because when I tried to do 100% completion back in 2009, 2008, give or take 7, so far and so forth, I was trying to look for those the high jumps, the racing car simulations, whatever they call them, arcade games in the convenience stores and stuff. Play those, try to see to get my 100% completion. I try to do that, but to no avail. I couldn't do it all without the strategy guide book. So didn't afford the book back then. So
I tried that with Grand Theft Auto 3 and just like trying to find all those secret packages. Because you find 3 during the main story, the other 97, it's up to you.
Mm-hmm.
But they're out of the way. They're like in some building you would never go in.
Oh yeah. Or somewhere high up, you need to take the helicopter, or if you don't have to take the helicopter.
Right. And then the missions that would start, like when you enter a car because you're trying to get another car, all of a sudden a mission inside that car starts.
Oh yeah.
And like you have to drive like up the hill or something. It's that shut me off from 100% completion in Grand Theft Auto. San Andreas, I don't know. It was probably one of the best, maybe. But I, like you said, playing it when I had to review Grand Theft Auto Vice City in like 2011, 2012, I played the game almost straight through for 8 hours before I moved on to other parts of the review instead of playing it.
Right.
So, yeah. So, but like I said, that was years ago. That was like 10 years ago. So we're older now. I'm a lot more tired at this time.
The gym can help us every now and then to reduce the tiredness, but it's as you age, it's going to the gym for the last couple of years now since the COVID-19 thing. It really did a number on me, and I can't do this like I used to do like an hour and 30 bike rides that I did back in 2016 with no problem. Now no problems, but I was able to do an hour and a half bike riding for not straight, but like periodically to take a break, whatever, and that's it. But now it's like today right now it's like 30 minutes at most, so
yeah. Well, that really did affect a lot of people, even though some people don't realize how much it affected them,
especially those vaccines I'm hearing, but that's the story of itself, so let's not delve into that.
Well, it's just I mean, all I'm trying to say is if you feel like this article even said you don't really have the time to play all these games, even though PlayStation Plus has you covered. But I'm saying, hey, this week is not like other weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Most people are off this week, unless you work in retail.
And restaurants.
And if you work in retail, you're probably off Thanksgiving Day.
And you work in a restaurant, especially back in the house, you definitely are the dishwasher doing all those dishes for those busy 4 days. So
yeah, so if you normally don't have time, you'll probably have time this upcoming weekend if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber.
Right.
Ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Next. Hold on, got a comment. Cool Everyone asked, what is your opinion of David Bowie? I'd have no opinion because I have no idea who he is. I know he's a musician of some kind, but that's where my knowledge ends of him.
He's definitely no Liberace, that's for certain.
Anyway, the next article after this one is at the bottom of it. Xbox Game Pass November Wave 2 titles include Norco, Gungrave, Gore, and more. The spice must flow in the latest update to Xbox Game Pass this month. Microsoft has announced its second wave of titles coming to Game Pass in November, a collection of 8 games spread across co-op, strategy, and action genres. Pentiment and Somerville, which were confirmed in the first wave of announcements, are out today. This was written on the 15th, and the rest of the month includes a few more Day 1 releases. November 17th, which was 2 days ago, will have 4 games to look forward to in total, starting with 4-time real strategy game Dune Spice Wars on PC. From there, Game Pass subscribers can download an Eastpunk action RPG where you fight monsters from Southeast Asian folklore called Ghostolore. and can dive into some 2D platforming featuring a group of brave rabbit explorers in Lapin. The critically acclaimed Southern Gothic point-and-click narrative adventure game, Norco, rounds out the latest entries on that day. On November 22nd, there's some stylish third-person action to look forward to in Gungrave Gore, a game that gives you unlimited bullets and plenty of weapons to use as you bulldoze through enemies. November 29th kicks off with multiplayer game Insurgency Sandstorm and physics-driven adventure RPG Soccer Story, while November 30th caps off the month with brutal co-op action shooter Warhammer 40,000 Darktide. Only the PC version of Darktide will release that day, with the console version coming at a later date. As usual, new Game Pass arrivals will require some titles to be removed from the library, so say goodbye to Arcvale, Final Fantasy 13-2, and 6 other games on November 30th. If you're looking for a Game Pass subscription deal, you can currently get a 3-month subscription for $31 on eBay. So the game's coming, which came 2 days ago, November 17th, Dune Spice Wars for PC, Ghost Lore for PC, Lapin for Cloud Console and PC, and Narco for Cloud Console. On the 22nd, 3 days from now, Gungrave Gore will come to the Cloud and Console. November 29th, so 10 days from now, will be Insurgency Sandstorm coming to Cloud Console and PC, so will Soccer Story. And then, as they said, on November 30th, only Warhammer 40,000 Darktide, just for the PC. Any of these games that are coming, are you interested in?
Well, I do want to play the Warhammer 40k game. I was able to own Vermintide 1 and 2 at one point. I think Vermintide 2, I was able to get games with gold, and Vermintide 1 was for the Game Pass at one point. So I missed my opportunities to play both of them right now. Although, I can always go back to my library and see if there's one of those is still there, so I could play that, one of them at least. Now, as far as what's that you mentioned? This Gungrave Gore. What's that about? Is that like a rail shooter game of some sort?
They said it's a shooter game where you have like unlimited bullets and you can bulldoze through enemies.
Oh wow! So it's like House of the Dead, but like basically get cheats with the batter.
Yeah.
Okay. Because House of the Dead was my game back in the '90s, dude. If I could afford the Sega Saturn, oh my god, I'll be a blessing right now. Because you can play House of the Dead, Virtual Cop, I think Virtual Cop 2 later on. Like, it was crazy, man.
House of the Dead 2 and 3 Return of House of the Dead 2 and 3 was on Dreamcast. How come you didn't get it for that?
Oh, I got the first House of the Dead was only on the Saturn.
Right. But 2 and 3 came on the Dreamcast.
Well, the second one got on the Dreamcast, yes. I was just saying for the first House of the Dead, if I had Sega Saturn. Sega Saturn was available for House of the Dead 1. That's what I said. So, yeah. So I mean, Gungrave Gore sounds cool. Unfortunately, since that Warhammer game is PC only, or at least PC for Game Pass now, only the PC version is coming. Not something not something I'm going to be able to try. But yeah, other than that, like a lot of these are PC games. So, Final Fantasy 13, they got rid of Final Fantasy 13 off of the games with gold, if not the Game Pass. Actually.
Off Game Pass.
Yeah, and then now they're doing the same with 13 too. I'm like, can you give me a break, Xbox? Like, come on now, like. Major Nelson, if you listen to this right now, he commented on my comment on his podcast we did the other month or two. If Major Nelson's listening to this right now, please bring back Final Fantasy 13 original for the 360, please, for the games with gold. I'll really appreciate it because I don't see it on my library anymore. It's
Did you download it when it was on Games with Gold?
If I recall correctly, I downloaded Final Fantasy 13, 13-2, and Lightning Returns, all three of them. But I didn't have a chance to play them yet. Only the first one.
If you download them from Games with Gold, not Game Pass. If you download them from Games with Gold, just go to your home dashboard, hit the Y button to open up the search bar.
Yeah.
And search out Final Fantasy 13.
But here's the thing, Triple J. They've been deleting stuff from my library, if not anyone else's library, for the last few months now, if not years. So, one example. I know this might veer off top a bit, but I bought a copy on sale called Bayonetta Blood Fate. It was available earlier this year. So I bought it for about $5, maybe at most $7. No big deal. It's on sale because Bayonetta was going to come out later this year, which is already came out, Bayonetta 3. So as of last week or two, I did a record on my one of my gaming channel saying that that my Bayonetta was removed. I was like, why would they do that? And I called customer support. They told me, "Oh, we don't have record of it, sir. Maybe you made a mistake, sir." No, I know what I bought. That's the downside to digital library is that they can delete any at any time of any reason from your library, and that's ridiculous, right there, guys. Like, how can you do that to me as a customer? And you can tell me I'm losing it or I'm losing my mind.
Yeah,
how do you sold the customer like that? Every single transaction I did for the past 14 years, I never deleted from my library or from my history, because everything from like now going back to 2008, I did my Xbox repairs on the 360 and the Xbox One, and I see that to this day. These transactions and games I've bought and add-ons and skins, etc., etc. So I don't like the fact that Xbox and PlayStation, they're trying to play this game of roulette or whack-a-mole, saying like, oh, we deleted this, or we didn't delete that, we don't see it on your list, or you didn't pay for that. I don't understand Xbox sometimes, but that's what it is sometimes with these as of lately, and people will find out what that saying goes, you will own nothing and be happy. So
well, you know how I feel about that saying.
Yes.
I don't have to talk about it again.
Right.
All I know is like there have been times I've downloaded games with gold, deleted them from the console to free up space for other games, but anytime I had to look for them, all I did while on the home dashboard, hit the Y button to open up the search bar, type in the game name, and if I had already bought the license for that game or purchased that game, period, that game would pop up. I'd still be able to download it again, even if it wasn't available to be bought now.
Yes.
So that's what So if you did get Final Fantasy 13 from Gold or buy it personally, what I would do if I were you, after sometime later tonight after this podcast, just go to your dashboard, hit Y to open up the search bar, type in Final Fantasy 13. It probably will come up, and it'll probably say owned under it.
I hope you're right, because last time I checked, it wasn't there as far as like ownership is concerned. So
yeah, so I mean that's the only solution I can offer.
Oh, yeah.
Ready to hear about the other games Game Pass is taking away at the end of the month?
Yeah, you go on there with that Game Pass, right, with Xbox, right?
Yeah.
No problem. Yeah, go on.
All right. Just let me check OBS. Okay. Hold on. Alright, Xbox Game Pass losing 8 games very soon. In total, Microsoft is removing 15 titles from Game Pass in November. As it does each month, Microsoft not only adds but also removes titles from the Game Pass library. The second wave of removals for November have now been confirmed, and they span 8 titles, including a Final Fantasy title and a Warhammer game. Leaving the Xbox Game Pass library on November 30th. Let me pause this video. Leaving the Xbox Game Pass library on November 30th across console, cloud, and PC are Arcvale, Deer Simulator, Final Fantasy 13-2, Mind Scanners, Mortal Shell, Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator, Undungeon, and Warhammer 40,000 Battle Sector. As usual, Game Pass subscribers can save 20% on all titles purchased outright. So that's a little silver lining if you've been enjoying any of the games set for removal and want to keep playing. Microsoft removed 7 titles from Game Pass earlier this month, which brings the total to 15 titles axed from the service in November. A total of 17 are being added to Game Pass in November for a net growth of 2 titles in the month. The second wave of new additions to Game Pass include, again, Dune Spice Wars, Gungrave Gore, Soccer Story, and Warhammer 40,000 Darktide, among others. So, again, what do you think about, basically, again, I think the biggest loss here is Final Fantasy 13, but I want to hear what you have to say about it.
Well, I just checked the Final Fantasy 13 on my game library. It's no longer available as of Games with Gold, surprisingly. I have to pay $16 plus tax for the matter. And I didn't pay for it yet, obviously. So, it's I have no record of it that at the same time too. It's kind of weird too. So it's like, you know, this is what I complained about with Xbox the other week or so on the phone. Like, how is it that I pay with good money Xbox Gold every month for how many years, along with buying games and owning these games, especially if it's with the Game Pass, and you remove them from the library like it's no problem. And it's something to be concerned about as a gamer, because after a while, like, you spend all this money, like, you tell me I can't keep on to stuff like this. So it's to a point where it's like, where's that fine line between owning the game and where you only rent it? It's kind of like that. So somebody should turn off sometimes. So.
All right. Well, I mean, just because you bought the game gold service doesn't mean you bought the game. You have to be also sure you're downloading the game.
I understand that, but I'm just saying the fact that if I continuously have the games with gold membership or the games with gold services, I should be able to download it no problem, especially if I pay for it.
Yeah.
So that's all I got to say.
But then again, they also say every game you only have a month to download. So
I download it every single time, my friend. I'm not lying. If you should be on my side for this too. It's like I'm sure you go through the same thing too, right? You never did.
No, I just never experienced this. So that's the thing.
I don't know, man. I don't know about this digital library stuff.
Yeah,
it's a little fishy.
No, that's a slippery slope in itself. Again, the only big game that we're really losing this month is Final Fantasy 13-2. But I do say, if you're listening to this, whether it's live or on the replay, in the individual parts that I split up, if you are a fan of Final Fantasy 13 Lightning Returns and you have not finished it yet, play it now, because I am willing to bet money that's probably going to be taken off December 31st with this pattern. They removed Final Fantasy 13 last month. They're removing Final Fantasy 13-2 at the end of this month. They're probably going to remove Final Fantasy 13 Lightning Returns at the end of next month.
Indeed.
So if you're in the middle of that game and you're enjoying that game, either buy it or get your playing time in now.
Oh, yeah. And it's a pattern over and over after a while. It's going to be like this for a very long while.
Yeah, but I'm probably thinking they can only probably put the reason they're probably doing this, they can only put so many games on the service at once before the service would stop working.
Right.
That's probably why they're doing it. Again, I don't know that. That's just speculation.
For any digital library, usually it depends on how much data can the company hold in their servers and hard drives, and they literally cannot hold that much. Then that surprised me, because there are multi-billion-dollar companies from Amazon to Disney Plus, and all that stuff. They actually have they're multi-billion-dollar companies, and you can't afford the hard drive or the space for these entities, from like the Marvel's Avengers to the 50-foot tall woman on Amazon Prime. That's available for the purchase. Last time I checked, like, you gotta keep like doing this over and over, play this roulette and whack-a-mole over and over.
Unfortunately, yeah. I don't agree with it, because I was going to start playing Final Fantasy 13 again, since I never finished it until they removed it.
Oh, yeah.
But if we complain about it, we'll probably be just told to buy the game out ourselves. It's not that expensive.
Oh yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. $16 it's not a huge amount of money, obviously, but it's like, right there, it's like a good chunk for like paying off certain bills.
That's a good month of Game Pass right there.
Yeah, or to pay off a cell phone bill, or pay off transportation for buses and trains, whatever, locally speaking. So,
Yeah.
So, because anyone who's out there young enough to look at this, listen to this now, or if they ever see it as a child, and remember, as you get older, you got more responsibilities, you got more bills to pay, more this, more that. It's the company has to be of concern to the consumer how much they're willing to sacrifice their money for their services and for their product too. So.
Yeah. So I mean, again, the only big loss this month is Final Fantasy 13-2. And like I said, if you're playing Final Fantasy 13 Lightning Returns through Game Pass, buy it now or get your playing time in now, because I bet it's going to probably end up on the chopping block for the December 31st, 2022 lineup.
Oh, yeah.
Ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready. Enough of my bantering for now.
Next, you brought up this game. Marvel's Avengers isn't dead. Winter Soldier joins roster on November 29th. Now is the Winter Soldier of our new content. After a lengthy period of silence through the second half of 2022, Marvel's Avengers developer Crystal Dynamics has revealed new content that will be added to the game in November 29th's update 2.7. The big news here is that a new hero will be added to the Avengers roster in the form of the Winter Soldier. Starting out as Captain America's wartime sidekick, James Buchanan Bucky Barnes escaped captivity and rejoined his friends and allies within the continuity of Marvel's Avengers. Crystal Dynamics describes his playstyle as being focused purely on offense, and he mixes the training he received from Captain America and Black Widow with his Winter Soldier indoctrination and cybernetic enhancements to deliver an assault-heavy moveset. Winter Soldier is voiced by Friday Night Lights Scott Porter, who previously voiced Bucky in LEGO Marvel Avengers. Will also have his own heroic mission chain and signature animations, skills, and abilities for players to experiment with. For new game content, Marvel's Avengers will add another Omega-level threat zone called Cloning Lab. Under the control of the resurrected MODOK, Cloning Lab requires players to be at power level 175 to enter and will reward them with new high-level gear that raises the power cap to 185. More details on Update 2.7 will be revealed closer to launch, including a glimpse at Winter Soldier's backstory, our first look at the Cloning Lab level, outfit reveals, and more. Since it launched back in September of 2020, Marvel's Avengers had a slower rollout of substantial content. The free War for Wakanda campaign arrived in August 2021, and the roster has increased with the addition of a second Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, Black Panther, Spider-Man, and Jane Foster's Mighty Thor. So, have you played Marvel's Avengers since we've talked about it?
Not the game itself, no. I heard back. I did a review of it last time, 2 years ago when it came out. It was very. What I heard of the Marvel's Avengers was very repetitive, redundant, and just boring. And if it's on sale for Black Friday for like a bargain bin price, like of like $5-10, I'll buy it, download it. You know, I got money coming in this week, or technically speaking, into next week. But Marvel's Avengers, the only thing I can think of like that's good about Marvel's Avengers are the movies. Marvel Avengers Age of Ultron, and Marvel Avengers Infinity War, and Marvel Avengers Endgame. All of them are good, featuring Thanos and all, and I'm not sure I don't want to ruin it, but it's obvious right now that about Iron Man's fate, so, it's whatever, right? So.
Yeah, well, I can't really comment. Like I said, I played the tutorial. It was fine. Lasted a half hour. I haven't gotten back to it since. I do plan to. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of games I plan to get back to on Game Pass. Like we said, so many games, so little time. Mm-hmm. So I mean, but I can't recommend that you buy it now. But I do recommend it. It's at least worth being given a chance for free on Game Pass while you have the Game Pass service. That's the best recommendation I can give Marvel's Avengers. Mm-hmm. Anything else to add, or ready to move on?
I'm ready to move on.
All right. Next, after checking OBS. Okay, Phil Spencer says Activision Blizzard deal is focused on Candy Crush, not Call of Duty. Spencer claimed that the console market is stagnant while mobile continues to grow. Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer has once again reiterated that the tech giant's acquisition of Activision Blizzard is more about mobile games like Candy Crush than Call of Duty. In an interview on The Verge's Dakota podcast transcribed by VGC, Spencer claimed that mobile gaming is seeing far higher growth than console on PC. He also admitted that Xbox has a minimal presence on mobile. He said, anyone who picks up their phone and decides to play a game would see that on their own. With that absence in mind, Spencer considers it urgent for Microsoft to make a presence in the space. He said, if we're not able to find customers on phones on any screen that someone wants to play on, you really are going to get segmented to a niche part of gaming that running a global business will become very challenging. Basically, a mobile gaming grows and console gaming remains stagnant. The Microsoft market share will shrink. He concluded that it's critical that if you're trying to run an at-scale global gaming business, that you meet your customers where they want to play, and more mobile is the place people want to play. He also indirectly responded to criticism from Sony concerning Microsoft's future ownership of Call of Duty. The idea that Activision is all about Call of Duty on console is a construct that might get created by our own console competitors, Spencer said. Spencer's statement is in line with what he has said in the past. In an interview in August, he said that mobile was the biggest gaming platform on the planet. In October, he noted that the company plans to treat Call of Duty like Minecraft. In Microsoft's filing with the UK's Competition and Markets Authority, it stated that the company intends to open an Xbox-branded mobile store. So, we talked about this. You basically doubted Phil Spencer, saying that you weren't sure if he was being truthful when he said that he was going to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation as long as there was a PlayStation to release to. Do you still feel that way now, or do you feel like, Candy Crush has been the target all along because he wants to get into the mobile market?
Candy Crush is like minuscule in comparison to Call of Duty. So I don't know where that Candy Crush come from. Like, what's that about?
Well, he's saying that's one of the reasons the main reason he got Activision Blizzard, because he wants to reach the mobile the people who only play games on mobile, basically.
Well,
and Candy Crush is one of the most popular cell phone games.
Well, if you want to reach the casual players of Call of Duty to go on Candy Crush, I mean, it's like one of those promos on TikTok the other week or two before the Modern Warfare 2 came out, featuring Nicki Minaj rapping and stuff. So it's kind of like, they appeal towards those type of people. I can understand that. So kind of interesting that out of nowhere Phil Spencer mentions this, because yes, back in August of 2022, during this interview with Bloomberg, last time I checked, that is. He said to them that consoles is like going to be a thing of the past eventually, and Call of Duty, we're not sure of it yet. He's saying in somewhat indirect terms, whatever. Now I understand, he's a businessman of himself. He's represented the Xbox division as a head of it, so he has some kind of say in it. But also he has to listen to Microsoft to give it the green light, the ultimate green light to what's going to be taken on off the platform. And since they're going to overtake Activision Blizzard, the ones behind making Call of Duty, there's gonna be a good chance that Call of Duty will be taken out of the PlayStation market, or PlayStation's version eventually too. So it depends on, it can be anywhere between like a month after the transaction is fully been processed, or even 10 years after the fact. We don't know until it happens. And,
if it happens at all.
Yeah, by the looks of things, it might happen. It might happen more of a certainty than meets the eye, in my perspective. That is.
Okay.
It's Phil Spencer. I'm not saying he's like some flip flopper. He's not no flip flopper at all. He's very direct with his audience, as well, also with us Xbox gamers. We have our times of hated things like the Game Pass library or the digital library overall of what I paid for and stuff being removed or whatever. But I still stick in with Xbox no matter what to the best of my ability, and perhaps PlayStation as well too down the line if I had the money. But right now it's like it's uncertain because it's still in the process of transferring over to Xbox, also known as Microsoft. So.
All right. I just, again, I really have a hard time doubting Phil Spencer when I've seen nothing too substantial that would lead me to not believe what he says.
Of course.
So, again, and, say what you say about mobile games as far as we're concerned, but, again, we're not the mobile audience. We grew up with dedicated gaming consoles that were supposed to go mobile. Starting with the Game Boy, and then Sony came out with the PS Vita, the PSP, I think, at first. then the PS Vita. Sega had Game Gear back in the day. I still got my Game Boy Color up there. I just found my Nintendo DS not too long ago, and my PSP's near my bed, hooked up in the charger. So that's why I've never gotten to cell phone gaming. But that's not most people. Most people say screw the dedicated gaming consoles. When you're out, you just want to play on your cell phone. So, and honestly, I can't think of a more popular game for mobile gamers than Candy Crush, because with a game like Candy Crush, you're reaching the casual fans. Call of Duty is something the diehards enjoy, but he's trying to get his hands on something that the casual gamers will enjoy.
Now, if I remember correctly, if I know correctly, that is, Activision Blizzard oversees the Candy Crush game, or that's some other company?
I guess it's part of Activision Blizzard's cover. Really? Something Activision Blizzard owns.
I see.
But he's saying what he was paying attention to was Candy Crush because he wants to get to that mobile casual market. Mm-hmm. And if you think about it, Xbox really doesn't have anything for the casual market.
Yeah.
You can name 10, 20, 30 games that they probably have that appeal to the diehards. But when you think about the casual mobile market that only plays games on their cell phone, for like a pick up and play, they really don't have much. So it definitely sounds plausible.
Okay. Well, based on if they want to go into the mobile market, why not buy the rights to the Call of Duty online game that Merc Music? He's a big avid Call of Duty YouTube gamer that records gameplay of Call of Duty a lot for the last several years now, easily. I've been subscribing to him for at least 7 years so far. And
well, I don't know if that game is still being supported like Candy Crush, which probably still is.
Well, the reason why I mentioned Call of Duty Online is that if he really wants to go into that market of because there's mobile gamers, there's like mobile versions of Call of Duty somewhere in China, I believe. So get your hands on that market. The last time I checked. So. Well,
also if that's Call of Duty, it's probably who owns Call of Duty mobile IP. Owner Call of Duty Mobile. Call of Duty Mobile is a free-to-play shooter developed by Teamy Studio Group and published by Activision for Android and iOS. So that Call of Duty Mobile game would probably be
Activision.
Since it was published by Activision, it'd probably be included in the deal if it goes through.
All right then, we come to terms then.
Yeah, so it's when Phil Spencer says why he's targeting Candy Crush, I can see it because you can have the greatest gaming console or the greatest gaming service, but if you're just appealing to your diehards, that fan base is going to shrink.
Oh yeah.
You know what they say: if you're not growing, you're shrinking. So. There's no such thing as actually remaining stagnant. So he's just trying to reach a fan base that may not be interested in Xbox yet. So,
right.
But anyway, anything else to add, or ready to move on?
I'm ready to move on.
All right. Next,
Oh, this is nice.
You can now read all 285 issues of Nintendo Power online. If you're in the mood to reflect on simpler times, you've got over 200 issues of the classic magazine to digitally sift through. Few gaming magazines are as beloved as Nintendo Power. In the NES era, it offered many young Nintendo fans their first glimpse of the upcoming games that fired their imaginations, and poring over the detailed maps and tantalizing hints of info was a ritual almost as enjoyable as playing the games themselves. Discontinued in 2012, although revived as a podcast 5 years later, the official magazine was an essential source of reviews, previews, and strategies. Now, thanks to the community projects and audacious archivists, Every single issue of the legendary magazine is yours to view. Uploaded to archive.org today by Gumball. All 285 issues of Nintendo Power are now unofficially available in .cbr format. At just over 40 gigabytes for the whole shebang, the vast majority of the collection comes courtesy of RetroMags, a community-run project dedicated to archiving classic video game magazines. A couple remaining issues were sourced via Reddit by Gumball. Scanned in full color, the collection is a wonderful way to browse through gaming and media history. Gumball is no stranger to gathering video game print materials, as they state in a Reddit comment. I've been collecting manuals and stuff for systems I grew up with. It is a big piece of a lot of kids' childhoods and gaming history, so I think it's important they are available for everyone to read, they say. The escalating Reddit post is gaining a lot of attention and appreciation from gamers who have been looking to complete their own collections or to find a couple of missing issues that weren't in the RetroMags collection. I just want to get every issue in one place, Gumball says in another Reddit reply. The ones that I could not find were issues 208 and 285. RetroMags did not have them, but a dude over in the RD Hex Change happened to have both of these and allowed me to complete the set. So, unfortunately, Nintendo's history with these sorts of efforts isn't exactly comforting. But as physical media, especially printed manuals and magazines like Nintendo Power, become harder to find, having access to archives like this is an essential way to preserve this history. So what do you think of basically a few people posting the entire Nintendo Power collection online for anyone to see at any time?
That's perfect. I had at least one issue to my ownership, but problem though, I lost it in the garbage by mistake. I don't know what happened to it. Maybe my mom threw it out by mistake. I'm also collecting Game Informer magazine still to this day, for the last couple of years now. And prior to that, back in the 2010s, I collected about, I would say, 15 magazines from like the issue 200, 175 to like 200, give or take. Hits and misses, that is. So it's an on and off pattern with Game Informer. But with Nintendo Power Online magazines, now that's a taker right there. That's a keeper. Now I would definitely, if they do a subscription service where you watch unlimited issues of Nintendo Power for like 99 cents a month or so on their website, whatever, that's perfect. Perfect for me.
Well, you don't have to pay. These are free. These are free to look at.
You know the website name or the website address?
No, they didn't say. You'd probably have to search, but they said it's been archived.
Okay.
If you look for the Reddit that has to do with Nintendo Power, you could probably find it.
Yeah, send it my way.
Or just do a Google search. But anyway, yeah. So this is great. This is unfortunately, the gaming companies don't seem to care enough about game preservation. And the game magazines are a lot harder to find.
Yeah.
I'm still selling off my Game Informers just because I don't have space for them, because they're in a couple boxes in my closet.
Yeah, same here with me. I'm collecting them so far for the last 2 years, and I'm up to like issue 300, 305, I think it was. I have it right here. It's Bayonetta 3, as you can tell from the cover and the back of it too. This one is 350 now. So we're talking episode 350 in this magazine. I haven't just read this magazine yet at its fullness. I only read like the preview of Bayonetta, the first couple pages of it, and Bayonetta 3 looks like a good taker for as to finish up as a trilogy for the matter. So hopefully I get my hands on that in the future when it comes to Bayonetta. But other than that, goes to Nintendo themselves, Nintendo Power Online magazines. You were able to collect them at one point physically, potentially speaking, if you have the time and money, but not everyone had access to the magazine form, or where to find them exactly. Usually, of course, FuncoLand back in the day, FuncoLand, EB Games, stuff like that. You can, but not everyone could afford to go there every week or every month to collect these magazines. People just don't have the resources at the time. Even if you subscribe to Nintendo Power,
how many kids was able to afford the monthly fee or even annual fee to have their allowance.
Oh yeah, definitely. Unless they ask their parents directly, and the parents got to look for it through a magazine subscription of the other magazines, whether it's like golf magazine or piano whatever it was back in the 1980s and 90s for Nintendo Power Online magazine and all.
Like what most people do, they'd get like their first magazine like at the store, like you said, and then there'd be like a card that you could fill out. Just fill out the card, include like a check or money order for help for whichever. If you wanted to subscribe monthly or annually, and then when your subscription was about to run out, they sent you something along with the magazine. They did that to me with Game Informer.
Yeah, I still remember the time that I sent out a letter to a Power Rangers clubhouse thing. It was some sort of clubhouse thing I did back when I was young, because every VHS tape at the end of the episode, they'll show you, or at the end of the episodes even, they'll show you, mail this letter, mail your favorite Power Ranger a letter to this address, P.O. Box such and such, and then just include your name and address and stuff like that, and your little postcard. Me personally, I had an envelope with a letter saying that I want my 6 tokens or my 6 golden coins for the Mario Brothers 2 game. I was that retarded at the time. And I get no response back from them. I had a return address and everything in the last time I checked. I learned how to do mail-in when I was in K-12 school, if you remember correctly yourself too, Triple J. They would teach us how to mail letters. I don't think they don't do that anymore to these kids these days, how to mail letters.
No, they do email, basically.
Email, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, They miss out the good days of mail letters, because you have the physical copy, you have something of your own fruition of what the person gave to you. Of course, now with email, yes, that too, but it's not the same. It's not the same feeling. You don't have that. Yeah. You're exclusive to the club at the moment during these 1980s and 90s times. That's what's so good about the exclusivity rights to the Nintendo, to back then Sega Saturn and Sega Genesis, and Nintendo, Super Nintendo. They were exclusive to their own little niche audience. Now it's spread out beyond on the internet, as you can see right here with us. So younger kids, you missed out on something that was very not discriminated at first, because that's what they look at. Oh, it's discriminated. Oh, we're poor people. The discrimination is poor people, whatever. No, it's just a different time where it's like there's boundaries, there's sets, there's sex. You want to call it SEEC, sec. There was sex and stuff. It was the thing back then. Now all of a sudden everybody's merging.
If it was sex, I was going to be like, what were you looking at?
But Phil Spencer had said it himself, we live in a different time now, When he grew up, he had to rely on the local stores, that goodness if they still sell them. Because when I went and walked into the store on Jamaica Avenue, now you guys know where I live, on Jamaica Avenue, back 15 years ago, I walked in, I said, sir, do you have this game? Do you have that game? And one time, I literally said this. I said, sir, do you have the double pack? He's like, he said to me right up, he's like, hold it, young man. And he showed me this GTA Vice City and San Andreas double pack. That was cool right there. He knew his stuff. He was very well knowledgeable, that seller. I wish I could go to that store there. I think it's just gone right now. But he sold some good stuff that. It was just the lingo. He knew the lingo. You don't get that with GameStop as much, or with Xbox support and stuff like that as much. It sucks now,
And not to rag on Game Informer, because I was subscribed to them for a number of years, and you're still subscribed to them currently. But it's not the same right now, because Nintendo Power used to include strategy guides and basically codes to help you out in a game, or just a walkthrough of a certain game. And Game Informer doesn't do any of that.
Oh yeah.
And I just kind of wish they did. I mean, yeah, you don't have. I mean, it could just be whatever is the hot new game of the month that's out. Whatever game got the most. I mean, would it really be so hard to add a walkthrough of a certain level, or codes for a certain game of whatever is the hottest game of the month that you reviewed? Even, but unfortunately, Game Informer doesn't do that. And speaking of other media that's no longer around, I don't know when you had the original PlayStation at one time, right?
Yes, I did.
Did you ever have like the Underground Jam Pack CDs that would have like 10 or 15 demos?
Got it right there. I got a couple of demo CDs, both PlayStation 1 and PS2, like the demo disc. I still got them to this day.
Okay, I never had the PS2 one. But I had a few for PS1. I think I have one. I still think I have one over there though.
Yeah, after when PS2 came out on the market, I signed up for the PS2 lore, or the PS2 fan club, whatever it's called back then, where they mail you a free demo disc in the mail, guys, and you get to play with it as much as you want until you find another game to play, to buy and play for. Because the failed frame I got with the demo disc, I think there was Crash Bandicoot, no, it was Jackson Dexter's Racing. All this stuff was on the disc. It was crazy. I still have it to this day, somewhere on my desk. That is, as always. It's great, to have that feeling back there, because now you feel exclusive at the moment. Like, oh my god, I got the newest demo disc. They really care for me. That now it's like on the internet. Now it's like everyone can see it. Everyone can have it. It's like. It's not the same feeling like when it's in the mail, So
yeah, I think the one I still have is Interactive Sampler Disc 8. I did have another one. I still might have that one too. But Disc 8 had like Metal Gear Solid, had Ninja, the first Ninja game on PlayStation.
The NFL game, or the
it might have.
Yeah,
it had 16 different things.
Yes.
It had a preview video of Rugrats, the video game.
Preview of Parasite Eve.
Yeah, I had that. That was on mine.
Okay.
The preview video,
of course,
not the actual game itself.
Preview, pretty much, trailer, pretty much.
But anyway, I miss those discs. I miss. One time I had 2 demos of Metal Gear Solid.
Nice.
And they both ended at different times.
Oh yeah.
One demo ended right after the heliport, when Snake takes the elevator up in the beginning of the game.
Oh, I was thinking of when you walk into the vents.
As soon as you crawl into the vents after taking the elevator up, one demo ended. I had another demo that ended right after the DARPA chief died.
Yeah.
It's funny. Snake kneels down to take a codec call, and the screen goes black. Then all of a sudden it says "to be continued."
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't get that anymore, and that's a part of gaming I miss. Obviously, we're just rambling on stuff we miss, but hey, at least Nintendo Power will be there for anyone who wants to look at it again or wants to look at it for the first time.
Yeah, I really want to look into that website. If it's still up and loaded, up and operating right now, that'd be great. Catch up on old Nintendo readings and stuff. Perhaps I might miss a game or two that I never heard of on Nintendo system, because I still have my Nintendo system to this day. My dad's own Nintendo system, from like 1986, 87 model, I think it was.
Yeah.
Not of its first kind, but like the early models, back then.
Yeah, the front loader.
Yes.
I still have my Nintendo. I still got about 4 Nintendo cartridges. I do have a few games on Wii U through the Virtual Console.
Unfortunately, I only have one game. That was Super Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt for the Nintendo system.
Actually, I don't even have that. I sold that.
Oh, you should do. That's going to be worth a lot of money, even if it is used.
Really? Super Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt?
Yeah, why not? They save on to it until you die. And
you know how common that game is? Some game stores give that game away.
I don't know about giving it away. Come on now.
Yeah, because it's just so common. It's like, one day it's gonna be rare. It's gonna be rare as a MF-er, a motherfucker. I think that's one prediction you're not that you're wrong on.
Hey, you never know until we're in the 60s and 70s, right?
If an NES game is rare, it'd be rare by now. It's been, the last NES game came out. I've actually learned this from the Angry Video Game Nerd. The last NES game came out in 1995.
I know. I'm well aware of it.
So, if a game, in 2022, if a game was going to be rare, it'd be rare already. If a game was, if a game is still common,
time is still progressing. It's still progressing in time, my friend.
That's true. but it's just like I mean, everybody had Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt or Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt World Class Track Meet. So it's like I just can't imagine those games being rare ever.
Okay.
Anyway, ready to move on?
Yeah, good times, my friend. Good times.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
All right. Just let me check the chat room. Okay. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Cowabunga Collection, gets a big discount. Prepare for a shell of a good time. Turtle power never goes out of fashion, and no matter how old you are, there's always an incarnation of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that can gravitate towards. If you grew up in the 80s and 90s, then you'll know just how much fun there was in Raging Shell. Eternal Mania saw the iconic hero star in a number of classic games. If you want to revisit the past, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Cowabunga Collection, is currently on sale between $20 to $25 at GameStop, depending on platform, as part of the retailer's early Black Friday sale. The compilation from Konami received a current-gen facelift this year with a slew of great new features that make returning to these classic games a joy. This deal is available for Nintendo Switch, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series, and Xbox One. The collection comes with 13 games. The Switch and PS5 versions are $25, while the Xbox and PS4 editions are $20. Just to remind you the games included in this collection. The original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Turtles in Time, the arcade port, the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the Nintendo, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game for Nintendo, the Nintendo port, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, the Manhattan Project for Nintendo, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters for Nintendo, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4 Turtles in Time for Super Nintendo, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters for Super Nintendo, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles The Hyperstone Heist for Sega Genesis, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters for Sega Genesis. Again, why they'd have to add Tournament Fighters from three different consoles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Fall of the Foot Clan for Game Boy, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Back from the Sewers for Game Boy, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 Radical Rescue for Game Boy. This isn't just a quick port either, as the Japanese regional version for all but two of the games are included, alongside a number of handy quality-of-life features, such as save states and rewinding. You can also map the controls to your taste. If you want to rope in a buddy from across the world, there's a local and online co-op play for several of the games. The biggest treat here, though, is the amount of archived content available, as a treasure trove of development, art, and concept sketches can be unlocked, showing just how these games were put together. So, do you have the money, maybe, to buy this from GameStop?
It depends on how big my refund is for next week, though. I think it's like around $50 I have from that covered in, so maybe. But at the same time, there's other Black Friday sales going on around that time too. I bet too,
right,
on the Xbox store, or perhaps even on Steam. Steam.power.com. Now, if they further the sale into like say the first week of December, because we have like the Black Friday, then Small Business Sunday, then Cyber Monday, and such.
Cyber Monday, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like I'm missing out. By the time I get my pay, it's like 3 days after of all these events going on. So it's kind of sucked that like either I have to sacrifice half my $50 for this to get this game, over half actually, because it's available like for $28 on the Xbox store last time I checked. And
well, they said it's, for GameStop, it's $20.
Oh wow, that's even better. Fuck, and on this too, right?
Yeah, duh, it's Xbox.
Well, obviously the digital library is overtaking the physical market little by little. So
yeah, but I mean, it's taking over little by little, but it's not there yet. It's nowhere near there yet. So, right. If I might even check this out if I got some extra money. I don't know how much, but if I can get a GameStop $20. Obviously a few extra dollars for shipping, I would get this game because I really do want to play the Game Boy games. I never got to play Back from the Sewers or Radical Rescue.
Right.
Those are two Game Boy games I really missed out on. I did have Fall of the Foot Clan, the first Game Boy game. I even bought, I think you had it at one time, or at least I brought it over with me one time.
Teenage Mutant Back in Time?
No. Fall of the Foot Clan, the first Game Boy game.
Oh, okay.
Because you had because I also showed you the Super Game Boy.
Hold on. Super Game Boy cartridge, right?
Yeah.
I know I had it here somewhere. Hold on a second, guys. Shit, I can't find it right now. So
while he looks for...
Got Super Mario Bros. Right here, so...
That's a Super Nintendo cartridge. I said the Super Game Boy cartridge.
I know, I'm looking for it somewhere. It's right here.
All right, well, while you look for it, I'll bring it up.
Oh, right here. See?
Oh, yes. See? When you got the Super Game Boy, I brought over Fall of the Foot Clan one time to show it to you.
It's the same one, by the way, that we used many years ago.
Right, because... So that game... I never actually beat it, because even though it was only 5 levels, it was tough as hell if you wanted to beat it the right way.
Yeah, back then those were challenging levels.
Yeah, and then the Technodrome at the end, if you had any turtles left. And even if you hit the level select and did level 5, you could still get wiped out immediately with all 4 turtles. But this is going to have co-op play, online play, so... yeah, this is something I'm even going to have to look into, because the 3 Game Boy games and the Nintendo games, to be honest, I never finished. Oh, yeah. Hyperstone Heist will be nice to check out just for the hell of it, and then they got the arcade games, so of the arcade ports of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Turtles in Time, along with the Super Nintendo version. So that's honestly a bargain for $20 on Xbox One and PS4.
Definitely.
So I mean, the closest GameStop to me is about 30 miles, but that's what shipping is for.
Of course.
Anything else to add, or ready to move on?
I just want to say though that it's amazing me that for the last 25, 30, almost actually 40 years now, these games coming out for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise, from the TV shows to the video games. I mean, like, there's no telling like what's going to happen after, with the newest series that came out with different turtle sizes and features of them. So it's kind of like you don't know what's going to happen in the next 20 more years of this franchise. So it's kind of like yeah. And
not to cut you off, but some of the Turtles games for like around the GameCube, PS2 era were not that good.
Oh, yeah.
Some levels were either way too short, or just were way too short. Had very little playtime, and I think like one of the games had Turtles in Time, the arcade port on it, just trying to get people to buy that GameCube game.
Oh yeah.
But then the 360 version, the one just called TMNT, was the new batch of Ninja Turtles. And then that Nickelodeon one where April was a 8-year-old girl, but we don't talk about that one.
Right.
Yeah, so anyway, if you grew up in the 80s and 90s and love Ninja Turtles games, this is definitely a collection worth checking out, especially since it's $20 to $25. And if you just have an older system like a PS4 or Xbox One, it's only $20. So if there's a GameStop near you, if not, order online.
Oh, yeah.
Ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Next. Volition to become part of Gearbox after... just want to see... Chat room? Nope, no, nothing new. Volition to become part of Gearbox after Saints Row failed to meet expectations. You don't say. Saints Row, a reboot for the series, was released back in August, and while some players were happy with the end result... Really? Who were those guys? Others were not. And now, due to Saints Row failing to meet the full expectations of Embracer Group developer Volition, will become part of Gearbox Entertainment. This news comes by way of Video Games Chronicle, which reports that Embracer CEO Lars Wingforts discussed this transition in a statement released alongside the company's second quarter earnings results. The reception of Saints Row did not meet the full expectations and left the fan base partially polarized, Wingforce said in the statement. The game development studio Volition has been working hard to improve the player experience. Financially, Saints Row has performed in line with management expectations in the quarter. Going forward, Volition will transition to become part of Gearbox, which has all the tools, including an experienced management team in the U.S., to create future success at Volition. Wingforce notes that this is the first time the company has performed an internal group transfer where we transfer a major studio between operative groups, but says that is not necessarily the last. Saints Row currently sits at 61 on Metacritic for the PS5 version, with a user score of 2.1. Game Informer gave the game an 8.5 out of 10 in its review. Wonder what drugs they were on. And you can read what we liked about Saints Row here. What do you think about this? People actually shocked that Saints Row did not meet expectations.
The Saints Row 2022 referred to, right?
Yes.
Well, what they expect? It was like over-exaggerated of the explosions and the gang mentality and stuff like that. It didn't look like something from that I experienced or at least witnessed in my area where I live in this part of New York City. And it's like it's a cop-out version of the gang life and shit. Like the first Saints Row, the original Saints Row back in 2005. Now that was something I saw.
Six actually.
Okay, somewhere around there. Yeah, around that time. And it was great. I heard it was great. A good game to play. And I did play about 10 minutes of it at our friend Kevin's house at the time. He introduced me to that game. And I was like, oh, I gotta get a copy of it. But sooner or later, I got this Saints Row 2 as part of the Games with Gold last time I checked. So I'm gonna try to play that too sometime.
Yep.
Don't know when, but it will be eventually. But yeah, it's the Saints Row 2022 is like a rip-off, like a Disney version of Saints Row,
That's perfect. Saints Row was like an actual gang film about a gang. Disney and the new one is like if Disney tried to remake that movie.
Yeah, there was an actual meme of showing the Disney actors and all, like That's So Raven and other Disney actors like Henry Danger and stuff like that. They were all together.
I remember that. Yeah,
and they told together. It says Saints Row.
Yeah. I remember that now.
Now that's a funny meme right there. I love that. Also, kept on to it.
Yeah. Really, honestly, with all this going on, and these memes were coming out beforehand, before the game was released, like with the trailer and everything. Yeah. How could you be surprised this game failed? I would have bet money that this remake was going to fail. If there was a place to actually make that bet. Because 2006 and 2008 was basically, you had other games, especially if you didn't have a 360 at the time. You had Grand Theft Auto 4 somewhere in there. I think you had Bully on the PS2 somewhere in there. And then they released a Scholarship Edition for 360. Because Saints Row came out 2006, Saints Row 2 was like 2008. Saints Row the Third, which blew up, which just basically blew up in popularity, came out 2011. And then Saints Row 4, which people hated the virtual world, was 2014. And then Saints Row, Saints Row Get Out of Hell. Well, not many people enjoyed that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I mean, it's kind of like we knew this game was going to fail from the trailer.
Oh yeah.
I'm surprised these companies are so brain dead they didn't know this was going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's one thing I can't get over. These game companies being so ignorant that they don't realize they're creating a product that no one wants.
I think it's also because the mentality and the work ethic of these developers too changed over time for the last 5 and 7 years now. Especially since when Anita Sarkeesian, I'm sorry to mention her name, guys, but she has made a big impact on the gaming since 2012, 2013. Give her
a negative impact.
Yes, a big negative impact indeed. So it's kind of like she's been like the Like, this is racist, this is homophobic, this is transphobic, this is xenophobic, this is this phobic and that phobic. I'm like, what now? Like, get rid of the blacks or the Hispanics?
Like I said, what's next? A Grand Theft Auto game that blurs out the shooting?
Yeah. And I heard GTA leaks that are supposed to be a female Spanish antagonist or protagonist, excuse me.
Sounds awesome.
But
we haven't had a female protagonist. Well, the closest thing we had to female protagonist was what's that
Catalina?
Woman's name in 3? Catalina, yeah.
Now she's some woman right there. God damn.
The first time you meet her as CJ in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, she has a knife to a man's throat.
Yeah, that's reminds me of my ex-girlfriend. God damn.
You? He said he was sending a real bad. and then when CJ and Catalina leave the bar, CJ's like, "Where's your car?" And Catalina's like, "I don't drive. That's what men are for." And CJ's like, "Thanks, Caesar."
Thanks, Caesar. Yeah, San Andreas has made a good impact in the game community. But,
So honestly, I hope Grand Theft Auto 6 with a female protagonist has someone maybe not as out of her mind as Catalina, but someone like that.
Yes. Dominatrix, alpha female type of fashion.
Yeah, and if she has male partners, just don't make them simps.
Yes. It's kind of interesting.
But yes,
it's kind of interesting though that speaking of GTA 6, based on a leak involved, it was so severe, the leak, that involved the FBI and a little bit of other intelligence agencies in Canada and stuff like that. It was that big of a deal of this leak. So the hacker that did all the hacking with the leak and all, he got in big trouble for the matter. I'm not sure how many years he got it, not decades, but it involves the intelligence, related communities in certain senses, So.
Well, it couldn't have been that bad because they said the leak didn't hinder the game.
But still, it was a big thing based on YouTube Shorts. Some YouTube Shorts actually mentioned that in that entirety, or that severity in the matter. Excuse me. So.
All right. So anyway, this is just ignorance. They didn't know Saints Row was going to fail. I knew it was going to fail from the moment I saw the trailer.
Yeah.
So Volition is now merging at least one of their studios with Gearbox. So
okay.
Yeah. So you make bad games. I guess that's what happens.
Yeah. If all there's passion and dedication to a certain niche audience, and then branch out from there later on. I mean, that's what happened for the last 20 years now. But for the last 7 years, it's you appeal to everyone, then no one's not going to buy your product eventually. So. Well,
you're trying to please everyone, and you can't please everyone.
Yes, you're right.
I used to use the analogy on my father because my father, he wanted a son that was independent when it suited him, but also dependent on him when it suited him. No, either a person's independent or dependent.
Right.
They don't flip-flop based on how you feel that day.
Understood.
They either can make money themselves or they need you for everything. I mean...
I understand.
So, and they tried to please everyone. They tried to please the people that weren't going to buy the game anyway. It's kind of a big... reveal here. Look what Call of Duty did, and look what the new Saints Row did. Saints Row tried to please all the people, nah. And look how that turned out. And Call of Duty just said, no, we're going to add what we want in this game. And look how that turned out.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, we're never going to see a Saints Row 2, but based on what the reboot of Saints Row was, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, leave it at that for now.
Yeah. Ready to move on?
Yeah, ready.
All right. Next, just a couple more stories. I said this was going to be a short episode.
Oh, yeah.
Dead Island 2 delayed to April. Dead Island 2 has been delayed to April. Originally due out on February 3rd, this upcoming zombie romp will now hit PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PS4, and PC on April 28th. It's a delay of roughly 12 weeks, which isn't too much longer considering fans have been waiting for close to a decade for the sequel. As for why developer Dambuster Studios and publisher Deep Silver have delayed Dead Island 2, the team wanted more time to ensure the game is the best it can be at launch. Here's the full statement on the delay. Quote, "We have some important news to share, so let's rip that band-aid off straight away. We are delaying Dead Island 2. The new release date will be April 28th, 2023. The irony of delaying Dead Island is not lost on us, and we are as disappointed as you undoubtedly are. The delay is just 12 short weeks, and development is on the final straight now. We're going to take the time we need to make sure we can launch a game we're proud to launch. For those of you who've been waiting for years, thank you for hanging in there with us. In the meantime, we will be releasing an exciting new trailer and gameplay at the Dead Island 2 Showcase, which will premiere on December 6th on our Twitch and YouTube channels, as well as on the Dead Island website." End quote. While waiting to learn more about the game next month, or watch the Dead Island 2 re-reveal trailer from earlier this summer, which we watched on here, and then watch our interview with the devs about the game's procedurally generated gore system. So, are you still excited for Dead Island 2?
Oh yeah, it's on sale right now for $4 on the Xbox store. I'm gonna buy it right away. So
Dead Island 2, the one that's delayed.
Well, I know. I'm just saying the fact that in reference to that, I'm gonna definitely buy the first game as well. It's a good promo they're doing right now for the Dead Island 2 promo. Because, like I said, it's moved to April, so now Dead Island 1 now is available for a very cheap price of like $4 plus tax. That's what I'm trying to refer to. And I played the Dead Island before. Actually, it was on the Game Pass many years ago. I think back in 2018, 2016, give or take.
I think you brought that up.
Yeah, so back in the 2018, 2019, it was available on the Game Pass. I had no problems, playing it. The problem though is that it does get a little bit repetitive. The first Dead Island, but I hear Dead Island 2 is supposed to be the double whammy, supposed to be way better than the first one. So after almost 10 years after the announcement of Dead Island 2, because Dead Island 2 was scrapped because of my previous studio, right? They were defunct or out of business or something. So the new studio came in and bought up the rights, and now they finally fixed up Dead Island 2 for the last couple of years now. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. So it's unfortunately it's not coming out on Xbox One, but if it's released on Game Pass, we still might be able to play it via the cloud.
Oh yeah.
So Dead Island 2, I did feel Dead Island 1 was repetitive. That's why I didn't get it.
Yeah.
But hey, at least they're taking the time to fix the game, so it's not a broken mess that we'll just patch later.
Yeah.
So at least they're taking the time to fix the game. Take as much time as you need, if it means a better game in the end.
So if I can say this, last time I played Dead Island 1, in Dead Island 1, I kind of got stuck to a part where I had to go through a one part of the island, and I actually used a car to drive in the water and all. So it's kind of funny to go one side of the map to the other side of the map with a car into the water deep. It was pretty cool. I was like, yeah, this is my type of gameplay.
You could do that in Crazy Taxi too. I just played that earlier today, actually.
Oh man, I own that with the Games with Gold, if I remember correctly. Still, for all these years.
Yeah, that's how I got it. So.
Yeah, and Crazy Taxi was one of the good games of the Dreamcast era. So.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons Dreamcast looked so successful in the beginning. Yeah. You had Crazy Taxi, you had Gauntlet Legends, you had Ultimate Fighting Championship, which
House of the Dead 2.
House of the Dead 2 and 3 Return, yeah. You had obviously Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. A lot. That's the thing. The Dreamcast, it died the way it did, so short into its lifespan. There's a reason a lot of the Dream games that were just available on Dreamcast later got released on consoles like PS2, like Crazy Taxi, like Gauntlet Legends. Mm-hmm. There's a reason those games were re-released for later consoles. Mm-hmm. ready for the final story tonight?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Next, or last right now. Atari Mania is like WarioWare with Atari games. New gameplay today. In today's installment of New Gameplay Today, your host Wesley LeBlanc and Kyle Hillard discuss Atari Mania, the new Atari microgame collection that plays like WarioWare. The two take you through the game's opening, showcasing exactly what you do in this Atari museum as its sole caretaker, from sweeping away dust to killing bugs and more. The two also discuss how presenting Atari games as a WarioWare-like microgame collection is the perfect way to showcase these classic titles. It doesn't hurt that the museum experience in a game gives players the chance to admire high-quality screens of classic Atari game box art, game manuals, and more. For more previews on some of the biggest games of 22 and beyond, be sure to head over to our YouTube page for NGTs about Save Room, Pokemon, more and more. So what do you think of Atari Mania being released like a WarioWare game? Have you ever played WarioWare? Okay, he left for a minute. So what I'll say is WarioWare. Oh, you're back.
Sorry about that, Triple J. I'm back.
Have you ever played a WarioWare game?
Wario game? Yeah, I played the
WarioWare.
Oh, never heard of. That's actual company? WarioWare? No.
It's basically like a mini game collection. Not as big as Mario Party, but they're saying this new game featuring Atari games is going to be like WarioWare, where it's one game consisting of a bunch of Atari games.
I see.
They're calling it Atari Mania. I didn't get the trailer. I'll see if I can find the trailer really quickly. But from what it sounds like, it's going to be like basically one of those game collections. Let's see, Atari Mania preview. Okay, they got the official launch trailer from Game Trailers. I'll send it to you, and then we'll watch it.
Sure thing.
Alright, let me... Okay, in the Discord chat, there's the link to the trailer. Alright, so I'm going to play the trailer now, and then we'll talk about it.
Sure thing. Oh, wow. Came out a month ago, you're right.
So, this is my first hearing of it. What did you think of that trailer?
It's like a nostalgia 101 right there.
Yeah, it seems like basically they give you levels from different Atari games that you have to complete, or basically Atari games that you have to like reach a certain level in particular or something, because most of them can't be beaten.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of what the game is, and it's going to be like all those Atari games in one hub, which is the Atari Mania game. So that's kind of like what Wario was. Different micro games, different mini games inside one big game, but like the little mini games were the levels, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, so honestly, that looked quite interesting, because it looks like there's a lot of Atari titles that would be fun to revisit in there.
I think
probably some of the games are modified to fit this Atari Mania adventure.
I think I actually got some of those games on a gamepad I found downstairs in my garbage. Like someone left by the windowsill of like this gamepad, like an actual joystick with a gamepad, and it's like I don't know if I can name the product. It's still somewhere in my storage bin or whatever, and it had like different games like that from here from the 1970s and 80s. It was pretty cool. It's like one of those all-in-one type of games, but it's like an old device I had for about so far 15 years now. And last time I played it was at least 10 years ago. So it has a similar feeling when I saw those Atari games in that trailer. So
Yeah, so I mean, as far as I can tell, it's only for Nintendo Switch, but it looks interesting. I'm actually interested if I had Nintendo Switch.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all I can say. It looks like an interesting game. I'm surprised we didn't hear about it before its launch.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, that's all we have for tonight. I hope you enjoyed listening to the podcast. Our next podcast will be in 2 weeks. That's on December 3rd, Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern. I do plan to be streaming on Twitch tomorrow. I'll definitely be playing Total Extreme Wrestling 2020. Right now, there's a link to my Twitter where you can vote what game I'll be playing in Total Extreme Wrestling 2020, whether I'll be doing my NXT 2014 save, my TNA 2010 save, or WWF 2001 save. So that's what I have going planned for the weekend. You doing anything tomorrow?
I'm not actually exactly sure yet, but definitely by the Thanksgiving weekend, I should make at least 2 videos. One for either Resident Evil 2, the game playing via the stream on the Thanksgiving day or morning or night, either or I might do a. Perhaps I could play Prince of Persia as well, Sands in Time, that I bought many weeks ago. That's a PS2 game I can put up and pop it in and stuff to play with you guys. So, all right.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely be streaming something on Thanksgiving. I don't know what.
Right.
But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Follow me if you did. I'll be streaming some Total Extreme Wrestling 2020 tomorrow. And we'll be back in 2 weeks with the podcast. Another episode, which will be episode 61 at that point. Until then, good night, everyone.
See you later, guys. Goodbye.